I'd just come in from a long walk. The walk was about 50 miles, and I completed it in about 1 hour. I had some friends with me. We made the walk together. We came through the big entrance, the one that said Judah on the top of it. We had been out just roaming around the area, trying to understand what was out there outside of our huge, huge city. When we came in, after that 50-mile walk, you'd think we'd be tired, but we weren't. We started walking along, and some of my family was with me. Some of my friends joined us. And as we walked along this road, actually it was more like a path, but it was all decorated so well. And alongside of this was a huge stream flowing from a source that had all kinds of marvelous attributes. As we were walking along, we stopped, and we found that there were a lot of trees, and they all had fruit. Stopped. Someone said, "Hey, it's different fruit every single month, and you can come along, pick it out, just whatever you want, and it changes." So we went on a little further. We came to an area, and here was a group singing. Marvelous voices. They were doing some great gospel songs. We even heard one in an area, they were doing Handel's Messiah. And then on, we heard different people. So we went over in this area, a huge park, and we kind of joined in for a little bit. Sat down among the trees, slight breeze blowing, temperature so great, no sun problems. We had all the light we needed from a source that came from where the stream was. So we decided maybe we'll go walk along, and we were congratulating each other and saying, what a marvelous time this was. Pretty soon some others came along and joined us for a little bit. They kind of peeled off and went their own way. Then we saw in the distance someone in a royal robe, the crown on their head, approaching. "Oh," he said, "who is this?" And as we got closer, we realized that it was the Lord Jesus himself. We all bowed down to him. He immediately said, No, get up. We're all friends here." And he was one who had saved us and allowed us to come to this place in the first place. And now he was there to just talk to us if he wanted to. And we were beside ourselves. It was an enormous kind of revelation. And we thought, golly, we could see him at any time we wanted. And we could worship him. And then we found out that this big, gigantic stream that was flowing down beside us was from the throne of God. And it had fish in it. Who would have guessed? All of this occurred just because we were in the new heaven and the new earth. If you hadn't guessed it by now, this is what it could be like in the new heaven and new earth. And just enjoying everything and worshiping Jesus. As we take a look at heaven, what my vision is of what heaven is, we see that the Father's pleasure is to make us realize that our existence in heaven is but a continuation of our former life. Only without its imperfections and its cares. Human friendships made in this world are enduring in the next. Family who made it are there. Heaven will be full of glory of God's presence and blessing with none of the problems of the present world. So heaven is a place where its inhabitants continue to learn, to develop, and we bring to this life the same tastes, desires, and knowledge we had in the earthly life. That's why we must save and continue to show the evidence of salvation to all. What will be the use of our oft-time long lives given the pursuit of certain worthy and legitimate knowledge if at death it all counts for nothing and we were to begin this next life on a wholly different line of thought and study? We are building for eternity during our earthly life. Pure the thoughts, the noble the ambitions, the loftier the aspirations. The higher the rank we take among the hosts of heaven, the more earnestly we follow the studies and duties in our life of probation. The better fitted we shall be to carry on forward, on and on to completion and perfection there. The basis of all of this is found in Matthew 6:19-21. It talks about laying up treasures in heaven. Verse 20 says, "Store up for yourself treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust destroys, and where thieves do not break in and steal." Say there's no thieves in heaven, is there? Well, Revelations 22:18 warns not to add anything to the prophecy found here. Revelations 22:19 says not to take words away from the book of the prophecy. And you'll see all of this in Revelations, but you'll have all of the verses like Matthew and many, many others, some we're going to talk about in this video and in the next, about what heaven is really going to be like. Now again, we're talking not about present heaven, if you've seen some of my videos about that. What we are talking about is the new heaven and new earth. Only then will the curse be lifted and removed. So this is the direct aim at the various religions of the world and all those rewriting literatures, materials, and hymns that compose the message so as to not defend anybody. Political correctness gone amok. However, reading between the lines to try to understand what is in the Bible is not only okay, it's part of what God wants us to study. We just must not change, omit, or contradict the Bible. And then we can learn so much. There are several things that I want to tell you about what we have learned from studying the Bible, especially Revelations. Our bodies in heaven, for one. We go to heaven in basically the same basic state that we leave this earth. Our bodies are free from illness, pain, and are younger in appearance, probably. Then our bodies are transformed to a glorious form, but they're very recognizable. The Bible does not describe our new form except in 1 John 3:2. It says, "When he appears, we believers shall be like him." Doesn't mean we're going to look like him necessarily. We're going to have the same attributes. We'll have certain powers of locomotion, rising from towns and forest areas without fear of falling, and able to travel great distance. We hear in Revelations that the New Jerusalem will be 150 miles long, 150 miles wide. Now, here's the one that may catch you by surprise. It's going to be 150 miles high. So, how do we get to the top floor of all these buildings, all the town of the Great New Jerusalem? Well, there's some indications that maybe we'll do it like Jesus did. When he appeared to his disciples after his resurrection, but before his ascension, he went through walls, doors, they were locked, but he appeared anyway. He traveled, found people on the shoreline, on the paths, and he appeared to over 500 people right after his resurrection in the 40 days before his ascension. We might say that children will still be children, but they'll grow in knowledge and form. There'll be no pain, no suffering, no mourning or death. It says so in Revelations 21:4. Revelations 21:24 seems to indicate something about the ages and the growing, the knowledge. Then let's talk about the houses in this new heaven and new earth. We're probably all familiar with the one that says, "In my Father's house are many mansions. I go to prepare a place for you." Well, in a city that big, there's going to be many, many separate houses with many, many rooms where some family members may live together. Each person will have their own separate large room in a house, potentially. As it says, "I will prepare for you." It doesn't say I'm going to prepare for several people together. There will be places to rest, to study. Will we need to sleep? Well, we're not sure about that one, but we do know there is places to rest. Houses will be located next to or close by other relatives and friends. The houses will be magnificent. Marbled halls, precious jewels, clear as crystal, and also decorated. Remember, it says that we will have streets of gold, and you'll be able to see through gold. Now, you know, on earth, we can't see through gold. It's not transparent. But this is probably a new form of those minerals and gems. Streams will run alongside the houses. Already mentioned a stream that will come from the throne. Now we'll have some beside the houses. The balconies will overlook the vast gardens and streams. There will also be shade trees, fruit trees, walks, streets made of gold and precious stones. The master will have free access to come and visit individuals often. Now, the exact quotes of all of these things are not really part of the Bible, but it does say many of these things, and it gives you the hint that the rest of them are going to be there for us. Then, finally, on this video, I want to share with you the relationships. We will know everyone in heaven that we knew on earth. Now, that brings up a point. Will we know somebody that's not in heaven and be sorrowful about them because they're not there? Well, we're told there'll be no more pain, no more crying. So evidently, God has made a plan for that one as well. We will know when our loved ones are coming, and we'll meet them on the shore of the river of life. Revelations 22:1. There will be many people on this river coming to heaven. While there will be singing and dancing on the shores in celebration, we'll be able to socialize with friends and relatives all the time. Now, it doesn't say we're going to know anything about earth, does it? Because remember, when the new earth and the new heaven comes along, that's it. There is no more former earth. Yeah. Didn't think about that one, maybe. Well, then in Matthew 22:29-30, yea, do err, not knowing the scriptures, not the power of God. For in the resurrection, they ne'er will marry, nor given in marriage, but as angels of God in heaven. And we are told that we're going to judge or work with angels. And we're going to be a little higher than the angels. Even though in Hebrews, sometimes it talks about we were made a little lower than the angels on this earth. Well, the Lord will be there to work out relationships that many will cause us to question here on earth. The key here is the word resurrection. It is difficult to understand whether the resurrection here is at the start of the millennium or after the millennium is over. But it seems that almost all agree that it is the first resurrection. Sorry, not the first resurrection. On the third day after the crucifixion. It seems to be saying that there will be definite relationships prior to the second resurrection, which would follow all of the rapture and the tribulation. And we know that the second coming of Jesus, from reading Revelations 19 and 11 through the rest of that chapter, that will be the second coming of Jesus. And that will occur to set the stage for what is called the millennium. And there's a video about that one you may have seen, and I have some more on that one as well. But for now, this ends this video, but I will continue more with what my heaven's vision will be in the next video.